Good morning. Welcome to Morning Informant. Today being the 17th of March, and that is on a Thursday. Hashtag Health Thursday right here on Morning Informant. My name is Christine Mutindi.
And my name is Gonzo Maina. Of course, this is the fourth morning that is for the KCSE candidates class of 2021. And they have so far done well. Of course, being the fourth day, it's a good trial.
Yes, it's a good
so far,
trial.
So good. Despite some regulations being put in place daily.
Yes.
From the beginning, from the one that was put yesterday, actually. On the day before yesterday,
yes,
some regulations, of course, to help curbing the cheating of examinations are continuing to be put in place, and that is a good deal as well. And actually, I think that is the best lane you're following.
Yes, but this year we have not had so many cases of cheating in exams. But now the Education Cabinet Secretary also said that mobile phones are being used mostly this year in cases of cheating, and we have seen arrests so far from Isiolo County to some other counties, where even invigilators and some principals have been arrested for cheating, for cases of cheating or allegations of cheating.
Yes.
And even yesterday, as you were saying, some of the regulations, the Education Cabinet Secretary said that the people supervising the exams, and that is the security people, should also check the toilets for mobile phones.
Maybe they might be hidden above maybe at the rooftop or maybe behind the doors anywhere.
Yes. And maybe someone has sent you a photo on WhatsApp that has a copy of the exam, maybe the next paper. So by the time you get out of there, or even the answers. So by the time you get out of the exam room, probably you said you were going for a short call, but you are going to send a photo of the paper. So he was saying that they should check the toilets.
And that is a good thing as well, because you see, I don't think there is any need of cheating, because even the break that is given in between two papers, even if you have the paper, I don't think how long you can have crammed the answers, maybe, but unless just cross-check the questions.
The questions,
maybe
yes,
20
probably,
marks and
yes.
above. That is the only thing you can do, which might as well alter with whatever you had in your mind.
Whatever you had prepared, it dilutes everything.
Exactly.
Yes.
Because you cannot even be sure about that paper. How sure are you that is the right paper?
Exactly. And you shouldn't trust anyone. You should only trust what your teacher taught you and what you have revised on your own. Yes.
Exactly. That is what you do. And as the Cabinet Secretary, C.S. Magoha, says, of course, we don't need to cheat in exams, because in the first place, nobody told you that you're going to fail.
Yes.
No need for pressure. No pressure at all. You shall score. That is what you meant to score.
Yes. And now you have heard it from Gonjo Maina right here on Morning Informant. And our social media platform is hashtag Health Thursday on SHANI TV at Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube.
And our platform number remains 0706083050. Remember, you can use that platform number to join in any of our conversations here on Morning Informant. Of course, as we keep this show as flowing as possible, because we always have a well-lined-up program for you.
And now remember also, this show has been sponsored by AquaWorld, and these are the best manufacturers in mineral water. And if you would like to know more about this product or the company AquaWorld, please visit their website aquaworldke.com, and that is their website. You will get so much more information on that website. And now maybe, Ngonjo, we get right to it on our dailies this morning. And we have on the Daily Nation, we have a header here that says, Keroche rose back to life after 957 million Kenya shilling tax arrears deal with Revenue Authority. This is a story on the page 8 of the Daily Nation, where we see a dispute between brewer and the taxman spilled into the public 2 weeks ago, and Keroche Breweries has resumed operations after signing a tax payment plan with the Kenya Revenue Authority. KRA shut the brewer's operation in the late January over In late January, over a 322 million Kenya shilling tax dispute, a move that would later morph into a bigger row that played out publicly over the past 2 weeks. Keroche accused the taxman of its business, while KRA claimed it was owed over 22 billion Kenya shillings by the brewer. Now, this is a story just on the page 8 of the Daily Nation, where you can just have a look at it, and also the signed addendum agreement will also see KRA lift agency notices issued to 36 banks. And this issue had caused the owner or the director of Keroche not to be able to withdraw money from those banks. And those are accounts, maybe privately owned accounts or business accounts. So the notice given by KRA to the 36 banks could froze her assets, and that is in terms of monetary funds. Yes.
And of course, away from that, in the front page of the Standard newspaper this morning, we have Azimio fresh fight to force Deputy President to resign. Now, angered by Ruto's scathing and persistent attack on the government, who allies have renewed their calls for him to quit, and questioning his continued stay in the same government he unceasingly criticizes. And this is a story on the page 6 of the Standard newspaper, and we have the front page, a punchline from Jeremiah Kioni that says, as members of Jubilee Party, we want to tell the Deputy President, I think this is where we draw the line. Enough is enough. We say so because the Deputy President is an active member of what he called a mongrel government. And as I said earlier on, these stories in the page 6 that says Azimio MPs want Ruto and UDA allies to resign. Now, legislators allied to Azimio Lao Moja movement have revived calls for resignation of Deputy President William Ruto, and over 100 legislators linked to UDA party and formerly members of Jubilee Party.
Yes.
And this comes days after Dr. Ruto was endorsed by the UDA as its presidential flag bearer and launched a scornful attack on President that is his administration. And we have Yusuf Asandres Kamukunji, member of parliament, who is actually saying that the UDA endorsement of Ruto was confirmation that he defected from Jubilee, under which he was elected as the deputy president. Now, this story is very much broken down, even with some of the members of parliament poking holes into Dr. Ruto's utterances that since the March 18th, the handshake between the president, that is Mr. Uhuru Kenyatta, and the ODM leader, Mr. Raila Odinga,
yes,
the country has plunged into 7 trillion debt. And Dr. Ruto has termed the debt a tragedy that must be investigated. This story is very much broken down in the national page 6 of the Standard newspaper.
And now, still on matters politics, on the front page of the Daily Nation, we have a head-to-head, and this is in the numbers game between Raila and Ruto. Whoever secures the majority of about 6 million voters in battleground counties will carry the day. And this is how the numbers stack up, Ngonjo. Maybe if I read the numbers, and we have on the left side ODM party leader Raila Odinga, and on the left side we have the Deputy President Dr. William Ruto. And just looking at the numbers on the side of the ODM party leader, he is estimated the estimated number of registered voters in areas perceived as Mr. Odinga's strongholds are 8,450,380. Okay. Yes. And now on the side of the Deputy President, the estimated number of registered voters in areas perceived to be Dr. Ruto's strongholds are 8,040,885. And now we also have another number here in the middle. Estimated number of registered voters in areas perceived as battlegrounds for both candidates is at 5,661,176. And maybe if I could just read through some, not all of them, but just some of the battlegrounds. Let me just begin with the battlegrounds. And we have Tana River, Lamu, Garissa, Wajir, Marsabit, Turkana, West Pokot, Kajiado, Kisii, Nyamira, and Nairobi. Actually, and Nairobi has the highest with 2,505,199. So these are the battlegrounds where both of them have quite a number of share, or a bigger, or have a percentage in terms of numbers. But on the other side, we have ODM party leader Raila Odinga, Mombasa, the strongholds. We have Mombasa, Kwale, Kilifi, Taita Taveta, Kisumu, Siaya, Migori, Homa Bay, just to mention but a few. On the side of the deputy president, we have Meru, Tharaka-Nithi, Embu, Nyandarua, Nyeri, Laikipia, Nakuru, Kericho, Bomet, Elgeyo Marakwet, Uasin Gishu, and this is just some of the counties. Just to have a note here that says the figures are county voter totals per the IEBC, and the nation is not suggesting the Daily Nation is not suggesting 100% loyalty, but this is just data collected from the IEBC. Yes.
And maybe those are some of the strongholds, and around 5 point something million. That is some of the areas where they can't be sure which side they might lie. Maybe. Yes. That is approximately 5.6 something million.
Yes. And I can see the difference between the numbers is just around 310,000. Yes.
The difference between the
ODM party leader and the
president.
Yes. In numbers.
In terms of numbers.
Yes, so that is quite a small margin, considering we also have a battleground right here. And the battleground has also a larger chunk because we also have with the highest being Nairobi at 2.5 million. Okay.
Yes.
So we have a bit of a tussle there. Yes.
Because there is a possibility from the undecided parts of the country that the numbers might change.
Yes.
There is a possibility because you can't tell with around 5.6 million people that you're not sure about.
You cannot tell. And then again, with the popularity reports that come in, day out, they show also a different type of numbers. Sometimes you find the ODM leader is leading in the popularity poll with maybe 9 point something percent or 49, because the last one we had right here on SHANI TV, we had the deputy president leading at 49.2.
Yes.
And then he was followed closely by ODM party leader Raila Odinga at 49.1%. And that poll was, a popularity poll was done by Mizani Africa. So this is just some of the companies that are coming out to do their popularity surveys as well. Yes.
So that means it's changing day in, day out.
Day in, day out, the numbers are changing.
Yes, and of course in the front page of Morning of direct ODM party tickets for Raila, key allies. A story that has been very much well broken down in the national page 8 under a headline that says ODM shocker for aspirants as it gives direct tickets to chosen few. Now, several aspirants who paid millions of shillings for ODM nominations could be locked out of the exercise as the Raila Odinga outfit begins to issue direct tickets to popular candidates.
Yes.
And we have the party has conducting opinion polls to determine popularity of those seeking its tickets, and will use the outcome to issue direct tickets in certain elective seats. And we have opinion polls done, of course, a story under the same on the page, of course, on the page 8. And if we can just say something about it, it says that actually, according to sources within the ODM party, some aspirants likely to get direct tickets include Kisumu Governor Anyang' Nyong'o, Kisii Governor aspirant Simba, currently Dagoretti North Member of Parliament, if I'm not wrong, and ODM Secretary General Edwin Sifuna, who is currently seeking a Nairobi senatorial seat. And polls by the outfit shows they are leading against their opponents in the battle for the ticket. This story is very much well broken down on the actually page 8, that is the national page 8 of the Standard newspaper. So
Simba Arati, and that is the Dagoretti MP, is going to get a direct ticket.
Yes, that is maybe from the direct, some of the direct sources in the ODM party.
Yes. And now in yesterday's Azimio allied leaders, the campaign that started at Dagoretti and ended in Lang'ata. He was among the people the leaders who were leading that specific campaign. Yes.
Of course, being a very much well-allied person in the Orange Democratic Party, I think that is the reason as to why, as from the legal maybe or information given by some of the sources in the party, you see, it's not somebody from outside or in the party. a possibility he might be given direct tickets as well.
Ticket. Yes, let's wait and see. We will keep you informed on anything that happens here. Remember, this is the Morning Informant, so we keep informing you. Yes, yes.
Our work is to inform,
yes.
we explain, we don't state.
We don't just state, we explain.
Of course.
And we expound. Yes.
We make you understand better.
Yes, and now moving on to matters diplomacy. Azimio la Umoja leader Raila Odinga has said he will retain President Kenyatta as an advisor and renegotiate Kenya loans should he form the next government. Mr. Odinga, who is competing with Deputy President William Ruto in the August 9th presidential polls, said there is a lot President Kenyatta can do. And he was saying this, he is on a 10-day tour trip of United Kingdom, and he will be consulting Mr. Kenyatta the same way the head of state has been seeking advice from him during his second term in office. And he said the president would be an appointment as a diplomat in the African Union, and this could fuel speculation that Mr. Odinga may hand the retiring president an active role in his government. Now, this is a story on page 6 of the Daily Nation. And just to have a punchline here, Ngonja, that says from Azimio leader Raila Odinga, it says, I'm looking forward to his guidance on different matters such as business, diplomacy, and others. So you can just have a look at this story. It is quite interesting. And maybe I pick your brain on this. Retired president or the former president to have an active role in the government, the next government, should the Azimio leader win the election.
So that is the plan so far.
That is the plan so far. Yes.
And of course, I don't know where I'm not sure about this flyer, but there is a flyer that is, I don't know, a poster. I think I saw yesterday on social media. I think that is the information that was in the flyer, but now it was displayed in forms of pictures. But I don't think, for me, I can't have and don't have an opinion over that. But maybe if that's their decision, if the ODM party leader wins the general elections, it's all the best for them.
And now in terms of the Kenya loans, we had read a story from the Standard this morning that what Deputy President is claiming is that after the handshake, the debt increased to 7 trillion, to hit the 7 trillion mark. And now when Azimio leader says that he will renegotiate the loans, does this mean that we're going to have a longer time to just pay the loans, or, you know, it just doesn't fit well, because we shouldn't be increasing the time, because once we increase the time, then this means that the servicing of the loan will have to increase, and this is in terms of paying back, because once you increase the period, you have extended the time you are supposed to pay back. Yes.
But maybe he has a very different idea from what maybe we might be thinking. Maybe there is a possibility maybe the duration can be extended. Or even the loan itself can be maybe streamlined, can be trimmed maybe.
Yes, trimmed.
Into maybe from the 7 trillion maybe to approximately something below or lower than that. But I'm not sure. We just actually engaging our brains into
yes.
And of course, on the national page 7, you have that story that says Raila handshake did not destroy opposition, and the ODM leader Raila Odinga has committed tackling corruption if he forms the next government. And speaking in London yesterday, Mr. Odinga blamed corruption for being behind the myriad of economic and social woes bedeviling the country. And we have 114 million. That is what ODM leader Raila Odinga said that the Deputy President William Ruto spent during his recent trip to the United States and United Kingdom. And 40 billion, that is how much money, that is the much money Kenya pays Russia for wheat, maize, and fertilizer imports. And we have the ODM leader Raila Odinga rejected the idea that his handshake with President Uhuru Kenyatta had destroyed the opposition. Instead, he did say the decision was actually prompted by the need to deal with a political and economic crisis that led to violence and divisions in the country. And this is a story on the national page 7, where the ODM leader Raila Odinga is also expected to spend a huge part of his speech actually not expected, but he did. So
Yes.
he actually spent a huge part of his speech condemning the war between Russia and Ukraine as well. And he also called for respect of sovereign nations and asked the United Nations to find a speedy solution to the problem through diplomacy and a dialogue. A story on the national page 7 of the Standard newspaper this morning.
And now it is 7:23 a.m. and we just want to look at the situation on our roads this morning. And this is in a bid to help you just get to work swifter or in a better way, or if you can just reroute in case there is a lot of traffic on the roads. And now Ngonjo, I have Mombasa Road here, and I see that Mombasa Road going into town, we have a red line somewhere, and this is just at Musau Road, and this is before you get to Lolongo area. And this is just, it is a red line going into town. And there is a part here that's coming from town also. We have a little bit of traffic there as well. And still on Mombasa Road, we have a lot of traffic. On Beijing Road, we have traffic there on both sides of the road. And this is going into town and coming from town and in connection to Beijing Road. So that road connecting from Beijing Road to Mombasa Road, there is traffic there, and that is coming from town and also going on the side of town. Also, just looking at here, I can see Longview Access Road. There is a continuous red line, and this red line is coming to connect to Mombasa Road, and this is on their way to town. There is a very, very, very large continuous line there. And in Syokimau Katani Road as well, there is traffic there, and it looks a little bit fumbled because this is for the residents coming from the Syokimau area, and that is the estate, in connection to the main road, and that is Mombasa Road. There is traffic from the estate road, and that is Syokimau Katani Road connecting to Mombasa Road, and once you get to Mombasa Road also there is traffic there as well. So this is just a very large continuous line. And still on Mombasa Road, again, once you get to Kiungani Road, it's a little bit clear, it's orange. That means it's slow but moving at the same time. And we get to Syokimau Airport North Road, and there we also have another red line, several red lines actually. And this is still in Nairobi, just in Machakos County also. This is a red line there as well. And once you get to Syokimau bus stop, both sides, going into town and coming from town. Syokimau Airport Road is a little bit clear, but on the Mombasa Road on that side, Syokimau, it is quite hectic there. It is hectic because I can see two red lines, two continuous red lines. That means both lanes are quite occupied this time. And then when you move ahead a little bit and you're still in Syokimau, there is a green line there. So it's a little bit better. Old Mombasa Road today has no scaffolds. There is no traffic on Old Mombasa Road there this morning.
Super highway this morning, we have the road is the traffic is very much flowing until you just reach the survey area. There is some area near the Mathare area 4. Of course, there is a little bit traffic on your way to town until you reach Pangani. That is where there is the traffic. Of course, it can be told that is flowing though slowly, though it's a continuous flow. But the area between Survey or the KCA University, of course, up to Pangani area, the traffic is very from whatever I have, there is a continuous red line. There is an indicator that the traffic is so much hectic on that area. Though some partially maroon, that oranges are an impact of how it is flowing though slowly. And maybe from the ones who are actually coming to join the Thika Super Highway from the Kiambu Road, any area from a Coffee Garden Drive, there is a little bit traffic on your way to Kiambu, but on your way to town, from the Kenya Pipeline area on the Kiambu Road, there is a little bit traffic as you approach the Pangani area. That is where the roads join with the super highway as you enter town. And as you branch from the Thika Road actually to Kiambu Road, there is a little bit traffic, though it's not that long. And maybe on the sides of Parklands this morning, we have near the City Park Estate and you way to town, that is on Limuru Road. There is a little bit traffic as well as you come to join the Murang'a Road.
And on Mombasa, still on Mombasa Road, and this is at Imara Daima, we have traffic there as well, a continuous red line and a brown line. A brown line just shows that it is not moving that much, but there, right there at Mombasa Road, this is coming to connect. Once you get to Mombasa Road at Imara Daima, there is a continuous red line. But once you move a little bit forward, there is, and this is going into town. The traffic is green. That means the line is green. That means there is no traffic. But once you get to ICD Road and Masai Road, there is a traffic there. And this is ICD Road connecting to the main is Mombasa Road. There is traffic on that side. From there is no traffic on all the way up to until Likoni Road. It is moving, and this is both sides, coming into town and going out of town. There is no traffic on that side as well.
And on the Langata Road users, there is a little bit traffic as from Mathe Nairobi Dam Estate. Of course, from Mathe Junction in between the Southern Bypass and the Langata Road, there is traffic, a serious one on that area until just reach the Langata Link Road. But of course, as you approach the Wilson Airport this morning on your way to town, there is traffic as well. And on your way from town, again, there is still traffic on the same spot. There is a near Wilson Airport. As you just come to approach the Mbagathi Road, it's actually very passable until you just come to the junction roundabout in between the Ngong Road and the Mbagathi Way. But Valley Road this morning is very much flowing. Kenyatta Avenue, very clear, but a little bit of some traffic not appearing there. As you approach the central business district, there is the CBD.
And on Lunga Road, and this is on the side of Jogoo Road, when you get to Donholm Railway Subway, there is a continuous red line on that side. And on Outer Ring Road, we have a continuous red line, and that is at Donholm Savannah Road. There is a continuous red line on that side. On both sides of going to town and coming from town, there is a continuous red line. And also in Donholm Savannah Road, there is also a little bit of traffic snarl up as well. And once you move a little bit ahead to Manyanja Road, on Manyanja Road there seems to be traffic there as well. And it's still in connection to Outer Ring Road. There seems to be traffic on that side as well. And this is just some of the updates that we have for you right here on our Morning Informant. And this is to help you get to town a little bit better. And on Makadara, still on Jogoo Road, on Makadara, there is a traffic there as well, all the way to Mbotela. There is traffic there as well, up to Kaloleni. Yes, there is traffic there as well.
And on the side of Wayaki, as you approach our town, actually from the David Osieli Road, there is traffic as usual. And there is also traffic on your way from a town as well. That is until you just approach the Woodville CI. Of course, there is a little bit traffic, though partially moving as well. That is on Wayaki.
And this is just some of the situations on the roads, and we will keep you updated on that. And you can also tell us, how is the road? If you're on traffic, you're stuck on traffic, how is it, and which road is it, so that we can also keep you updated on how it looks up ahead. Yes. And maybe Ngonjo, we still look at some of the stories making headlines in our dailies this morning. And still on the front page, I have a scrap metal. Government mulls lifting nationwide ban on scrap metal trade. And this is a story on page 9 of the Daily Nation, where we have the state crafts tough new rules to control scrap metal trade. And according to the Interior Cabinet Secretary Fred Matiang'i, I have a punchline here that says, "We are not going to allow the sector to continue operating haphazardly." And this is in connection to the meeting that was held between the heads of various government agencies and representatives of scrap metal dealers yesterday that failed to unlock a moratorium placed in January by President Uhuru Kenyatta on the trade that has been blamed for vandalism of critical infrastructure. And this comes from railway tracks to electricity posts. And licensed dealers, millers and smelters will pay for 250,000 Kenya shillings in annual fees, and agents will part with 150,000 Kenya shillings. while Jua Kali collectors will pay 50,000 Kenya shillings, and this is on top of the existing county licenses that they must secure. This is a story on page 9 of the Daily Nation.
And on the national page 11, a story that has been very much well indicated in the front page of the Standard newspaper. We have Magoha phones are now exam menace. Education Cabinet Secretary says that the government is considering a total ban on the use of mobile phones in schools during national exams. And this is a story on the page 11, as I've just said, that Magoha cites mobile phones as leading cheating tool in KCSE. And the mobile phones are proving to be a headache in the management of the national examinations. And the education CS, that is Professor George Magoha, said that the government was considering a total ban on actually the use of mobile phones in schools during examinations.
Yes.
A total ban, that means no phones at all. And of course, these dismissed, Mr. Magoha dismissed reports that mobile phones confiscated in examination rooms contained exam answers. And this story is very much broken down under education, that is on the national page 11 of the Standard newspaper this morning.
And on my side, I have a story that reads, even after the show of tight security, KCSE exam leaks. And this is on the front page and the back page of the Daily Nation. And it says that the 3 days since the Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education examinations kicked off, cases of cheating are on the increase, causing fresh worry. The vice is creeping back. And so far, over 70 candidates and several teachers have been arrested for attempting to cheat in the examinations. The highest number yet was reported on Tuesday in Turkana West Sub-County, and some 38 students from Green Light Secondary in Kakuma were arrested for attempting cheating. On the same day, 25 more candidates at Somali Bantu Secondary School, also in Kakuma, were caught with mobile phones that police said were being used to cheat since they contained examination material. Some of the phones also had money suspected to have been proceeds of selling the exam material. Now, this is quite saddening, and we have a punchline from the Education Cabinet Secretary George Magoha that says the greatest enemy during this examination is the cell phone. The security officers must inspect toilets regularly to check if the examination center managers and students have hidden mobile phones there for the purpose of cheating. And I thought I told you.
We did talk about that as we're beginning this show. And of course, I had not gotten the point clearly, because now it's like I've gotten it very much well. It's they should actually look for the toilet so that to ensure that neither students nor the other officers who are
yes,
have
because
not hidden their phones, so they are not allowed as well to have phones.
Yes, once you get in the exam room, you're not allowed to have your phone. And remember, we also had the previous day, and that is on Tuesday.
Yes.
We had the case of, we were discussing it right here on Morning Informant, the issue of Education Cabinet Secretary saying that large sums of money should not be allowed in the students.
Of course.
And the people that are inspecting them, once they find money in their pockets, they should just keep the money and give the student the money after the exam.
Sure.
And that is the exam for that specific day. So now you see, now it comes from money and to mobile phones.
Yes.
So this means that it is a trade. You give me exam material, I give you money. Okay.
Of course.
Yes.
And that shows as well how much serious the government is with the national exams, especially because now we are done with the KCP, the examination that is remaining currently, or that is actually being in place right now, is the KCSE class of 2021. And of course, that shows how serious the government is concerning the whereabouts and the seriousness still in that examination.
And now remember, today is hashtag Health Thursday, right here on Morning Informant. And of course, later on, once we start discussing, we will be joined by an expert, and of course you will get to learn all that in a few. But now I have a comment here on our Facebook platform that says, Chega Steve, good morning to my informants. I am locked to the show. Wow, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And we have an ardent fan, and that is Chega Steve every other morning.
It's interesting. Of course, on my side I have good morning. I'm watching you guys from Limuru. This is Jen from from Limuru. Thank you very much. And as from yesterday, she was actually complaining of very cold mornings. I'm also assuming that today morning is as cold as yesterday. One of the best. Thank you very much for tuning in as well.
And remember, we said last week that whoever has the biggest shares will be getting something from us. So we're still waiting.
You're still,
and we're still looking. Yes.
And the more, you see, the more we take time, the bigger it becomes, the bigger the impact and the surprise as well.
Yes.
So take your time as well. You need to take your time.
Yes, and share it. You never know. It might be a car.
Of course. You don't know what it is.
It might be a car.
You see, I wish I was just viewing someone's telling me so I could have done so. I could have actually started sharing right now because I also want to get the surprise.
But remember, I said might. I use the word might. Okay. And now moving on, we have a story on page 9 of the Daily Nation that says MP Waluke told to pay 3 million for Jacob Juma's loan. And the financial dealings of slain businessman Jacob Juma have returned to haunt his business partner, Sirisia MP John Waluke, after a court allowed a bank to claim 12.2 million Kenya shillings from the politician and other loan guarantors. The High Court has allowed National Bank of Kenya to recover the outstanding loan from the lawmaker, who was one of the guarantors to loans Juma had borrowed between 2001 and 2006. And now Justice Alfred Mabeya said the bank had proven its claims against the guarantors and Juma Construction Company Limited. And the beneficiary of the loan and the other guarantor is Miss Agneta Simuli. Now the construction company will pay 6.2 million Kenya shillings, while Mr. Waluke and Miss Similu will pay 3 million Kenya shillings each. And the bank filed the suit against the company Juma, Miss Grace Wakungu, and Mr. Waluke and Miss Simuli in 2010, seeking to recover 14.2 million Kenya shillings. And they had provided different guarantors to secure a 10 million loan advanced to the farm between 2001 and 2006. And this is a story on page 9 of the Daily Nation.
And we have a story on the page 3 of the Standard newspaper this morning that says case that put Chitembwe in a spot to be heard anew. And a land case that put High Court Judge that is Chitembwe, Said Chitembwe, on the spot will be heard afresh. And of course, Court of Appeal judges others Kathurima Minoti, Jamila Mohammed, and Sankale Kantai last week agreed that there was some irregularities on how the judge handled the case. And of course, from the bench, that is the Court of Appeal bench, that they said that the appellant, and the second respondent have raised other issues which ought to have raised a red flag that all was not well in the manner in which this dispute was conducted and determined. And of course, Mutulu indicated that she was the only dependent surviving the decision. However, there is also another person referred to Zokapi showed up and asked the court to cancel the letter stating that it owned through the two properties listed by the widow. And of course, this is a story broken down on the national page 3 of the Standard newspaper.
And now, on that note, we are going on our very short break, but we will be back. Do not go anywhere. We'll be back with so much more right here on Morning Informant.
Welcome to Mountain View Gardens Nanyuki by Finca Properties Limited. These are 50 by 100 plots going for a cash offer price of 220,000 Kenya shillings and 250,000 Kenya shillings in installment. All legal and transfer fees inclusive. Mountain View Gardens is located in a gated community along Nanyuki Rumuruti Road, neighboring All Pejeta Conservancy and Mount Kenya Homes. This area has all social amenities, all-weather roads, water, electricity, and an electric fence already installed. Mountain View Gardens is is just few minutes drive from Nanyuki town and is ready for immediate development with a free site visit every Wednesday and Saturday. For inquiries, bookings, reservations and free site visit, SMS the word plot to 4309. Call us on 0721 737 300 or visit our website at www.finca.co.ke. Come to our offices in Kitengela Town, Pena Towers, Suite B6. Finca Properties Limited, prime and affordable.
Welcome back, and of course, as we are continuing with the dailies, today we go straight to the news making headlines in our counties this morning on our newspapers. And of course, we have coffee farmers reap big from first direct export to South Korea. And coffee farmers have struck gold with the first direct export of the commodity, setting the stage for unprecedented earnings for smallholders. And of course, we have 134.4 tons, that is the coffee beans shipped to South Korean based company Good Beans, that will earn the farmers about 15.6 million. That is the story, of course, on the page 21. Page 21 is the front page on the Standard County News, and of course the page 21 in the whole newspaper, where South Korea actually being the fourth largest buyer of Kenyan coffee after Belgium, Germany and the United States. Its coffee industry is ranked the 11th largest in the world, and with annual consumption of about 502 cups per capita and over 110,000 coffee caves, and it's a lucrative market for Kenya on that case. And this story is very much well broken down with me. Of course, I have an image of Grace Maritime, of course, that is a coffee farmer at Kipkelion West constituency. She's very much happy from the image that I have, and facially you can just tell how happy the farmers are. Of course, that is a very good impact on that case, and that story is very much well broken down the page 21.
Okay, and And now moving on to Kajiado County, we have Kitengela residents lament of water shortage. Kitengela residents have raised concern at the cost of fresh water in public kiosks amid a biting shortage of the vital commodity. The idea to set up water kiosks in the town was mooted after President Kenyatta ordered the Ministry of Water in February 2019 to ensure that there was a constant supply of fresh water. This followed persistent appeals by residents to the president to address the issue. Subsequently, 8 water kiosks were planned for the town and its environs. The Kajiado County government was to spend 20 million Kenya shillings to build the kiosks, while the Nairobi Water and Sewerage Company was to reroute the main pipeline to Kiangombe to the facilities. This is a story on page 21 of the County News on Daily Nation.
And we have county moves to stop collapse of building under construction that is in Kiambu County, where the county government has actually rolled out a campaign to encourage the public to adhere to construction guidelines and relevant approvals needed in development of their property. I think this after several buildings collapsed during construction. Of course, some claiming lives of innocent citizens and civilians, as well as some of the people who are actually building them. And of course, we have Mr. Nje here. He said the sensitization plan dubbed land clinics, that is land clinics in quote, was necessary to ensure compliance with laid down regulations on matters of land development.
Okay, and on that note, maybe Ngonjo, it is about that time we introduce a junior research scientist, and that is a person, a doctor who is passionate about research, and also he is in charge of drug distribution in Sinamed Pharmaceutical in Nairobi. Good morning, sir.
Very good morning.
How are you this morning?
Hello. I'm fine. Thank you so much for this show. Yes, can you be able to hear me? Yes, thank you so much for this show, and I'm glad that we'll be able to be sharing some few insights. And thank you so much. I guess our viewers will be able to enjoy these few sessions that we'll be able to have, so that we can be able to mitigate on some of the racing on the new research platforms and the upcoming issues in this field of medicine. Thank you so much.
Okay,
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. And on that note, we will be back to you shortly. Just in a few minutes, we'll be engaging you, and we need to understand about the misuse of antibiotics today on Health Thursday. Okay, and yes, Ngonjo, so we were talking about some of the county news this morning, and we have seen that in Kajiado County there is, in Kitengela, shortage of fresh water supply. Yes.
People, of course, are complaining because I think there has been an issue even with the water. I was in another place that I won't mention, that is in Nairobi County. But of course, the residents as well were complaining of lack of water. It has been a while since they saw water. And of course, but they said that this issue was addressed on newspapers that I didn't see it personally, but I just had that from them.
Yes, and maybe we just continue and we look at the Attorney General who appealed a ruling that blocked vetting of Kenya Power staff. And Kenya Power has moved to the Court of Appeal to challenge a decision of the Labour Court that blocked a planned lifestyle audit of the electricity distributors' employees. The utility firm has filed a notice at the Appellate Court in Nairobi, indicating that it intends to have the whole judgment dated February 28, 2022 overturned. And now on that story, maybe we take a very, very short break, but we will be back with more on international and sports news. And then we get to our scientists. We talk about misuse of antibiotics. And from County News, Ngonjo, where next now?
Of course, it's our normal flight. That is on the news making headlines on the world realm this morning. And of course, that is the international news in our dailies this morning.
And now we go to the page 32 of the Daily Nation, and we have invasion. Conflict has sent more than 3 million Ukrainians across the border, and the US steps up aid to Ukraine as pressure builds to halt Russia. And the latest attacks coincided with the visit to Kiev of Polish, Czech, and Slovenian leaders and the introduction of a 35-hour curfew. The three countries have been among the most forthright in calling for a tougher Western approach to Moscow. Poland's Vice Premier Jaslaw Kaczynski called for the deployment of a NATO or other international peacekeeping mission that will be able to defend itself, that will not operate on Ukrainian territory. Now, this is a story about the invasion and what is happening so far. And yesterday, Ngonjo, President Zelensky was giving a speech at the United States Congress. And of course, we will keep you informed on that right here in our dailies on SHANI. Yes.
And the same on a story in the same line on the page 33 in the Standard newspaper this morning, of Russian forces try to crush fragile Ukraine defenses amid diplomacy. And this is a story about the Russia's military forces who blasted Ukraine's capital region and other major regions and cities yesterday as they tried to crush a Ukrainian defense that has actually frustrated their progress nearly 3 weeks after invading. And of course, on the same, we also have what the West is doing. Of course, that is what other nations in the Western region are doing in help to cover this issue. Very much broken down a content table with where the President Joe Biden is expected to travel to Europe next week for face-to-face talks with European leaders about the Russian invasion on Ukraine. And we have a punchline from a regional leader in Ukraine who says kindergartens, museums, churches, residential blocks, and engineering infrastructures are suffering from the endless firing.
Still on Matters International News, we have Bukinab is the world's best architect, and Pritzker Prize Architecture's most prestigious was awarded to Bukinab Diabedo Francis, the first African to win the honor in its more than 40-year history, and credit was hailed from his pioneering designs that are sustainable to the earth and its inhabitants in the lands of extreme scarcity. And this is a story of honor on page 33 of the Daily Nation.
And we have UN peacekeeping mission in South Sudan extended as well, with China's deputy UN ambassador saying that the international community should support the country in gradually exploring a path of human rights development that is sustainable for its national conditions. A story on the page 32 of the Standard newspaper.
And now moving on to business, we see that KCB has had large profits this year, and they are standing at 34.2 billion, and this is in terms. And the KCB Group has posted a 74% increase rise in profit after tax for the full year to December 2021. And the third and the fourth quarters were turning point with a pickup in lending activity, even as the COVID-19 pandemic continued to impact on economic activity. And this is according to Mr. Oigara, who is the KCB Group Chief Executive. That is Mr. Joshua Oigara. Yes.
And of course, on the Standard business news this morning, we have state officials gobble up over 11 billion Kenyan shillings on travel and hospitality. Of course, we have a content table that says the big spenders on domestic travel with 761.08 million. That is the amount of money the State Department of Interior and Coordination Services have of course spent. The judiciary having 341 million, just for a few to mention. And we have 1.2 Kenya shillings. That is the amount spent on logo fees with the State Department for Interior and Citizens Services, leading to 602.1 million Kenya shillings. A story on the page 27 of the Standard newspaper this morning.
And now we are going to the field where we see that Sofapaka 1 goal and Talanta 2 goals and Bidco 1-1. So Bidco United and Kariobangi Sharks were playing neck to neck when they played their first. They scored both goals in the first half, but on the second half they strained to break truce, but none of the teams could manage to get a goal. But in Sofapaka, Talanta was enjoying the score, that is 2-1 against Sofapaka.
And we have the troubling tale of a basketball great who is detained in Russia. Of course, it's the story of a US star, Brittany Greenell, who seemed to have just vanished. And this story is in the page 50 Standard newspaper, with the last page of the Standard newspaper saying it's another season without a trophy for Manchester United, with a content table of Manchester United versus Atletico Madrid key stats.
And on that note, our dear viewers, it is about that time that we get to Dr. Gavin Shikuku. And now Daktari is going to help us in understanding antibiotics. Okay, that means that we have gotten now to matters health, and that is #Health Thursday right here on Morning Informant. If you have any questions about the misuse of antibiotics or the use of antibiotics, it is time you get, because we have an expert right here in our studios. Yes.
Of course, it's a privilege to have Daktari with us here. And of course, you can just help us get your feedback on a platform number. The platform number is 0706083050.
And now, Daktari, welcome back again.
Thank you so much.
And Daktari, just to ask a question, what is the use of antibiotics?
Thank you so much for this question. Maybe I will start by introducing, as you have introduced, maybe on your side, Gavin Barasa Shikuku. This is an upcoming scientist in this field of medicine. As you understand, there are a lot of issues, emerging issues in the field of medicine. Now, going direct to the question, when you look at these antibiotics, these are the drugs that are normally used to be able to treat these bacterial infections. We have a lot of microbial infections. So for this antibacterial, they only target bacteria. That's why we call them antibacterial drugs.
And maybe, Daktari, if I can just ask you from whatever you've just said, under which circumstances do you think a person or patient can be actually prescribed to some of the antibiotics?
So much for the question. Antibiotics can only be prescribed by those medical professionals under the situation whereby the symptoms or the sign shows that this is a bacterial infection. That's why when you look at this prescription, not anyone can be able to prescribe. That's why we only dwell with the professionals. And when we go this way, we can be able to limit this issue. For anyone to be able to conclude that this needs antibacterial, that means they must be able to have enough evidence, maybe after the lab procedure, to be able to examine that this is a bacterial infection, and that means we are supposed to be able to give not antiviral but antibacterial medications. That's why, to be able to conclude under which circumstance, you must be able to have enough evidence from the lab and also from the examination by a medical professionals who can be able to make conclusion on the same.
Okay, so and Dr. Shikuku, you mentioned antiviral and antibacterial. That means there is a difference when it comes to medication of viral diseases and bacterial diseases.
Yes, indeed, that is the case, because we have actions. So for this case, antibacterial mode of action is very different from antiviral. Like let's say for the cases of HIV, that is a viral infection. Then when you come to maybe the upper or lower urinary tract infections, you realize that is a bacterial infection. So each drug
Yes.
mode of action is very different. That's why we must be able to understand with the help of the lab or with the help of the medical professionals. After making conclusion that this is a bacterial, this is a viral, we must be able now go ahead and see which medication suits this interest. And that's why now when we be discussing ahead, you realize some have been using maybe, let me say, antibacterial, for example, to treat antiviral. And this is where now the assistance will be able to come in, as we'll be able to discuss ahead. That's why there's a difference between antiviral and then antibacterial. Maybe with the other days, Marge will be able to discuss much on the mode of action of the antiviral and then antibacterial for this.
And maybe, Doctor, you said for someone actually to take antibiotics, you must have a prescription from a medical officer, right?
Yes, yes.
And yes, and if that is the case, of course, our topic today was all about misuse of antibiotics. How comes people get to misuse these antibiotics? Does it mean they just take overdoses, or they just use the right antibiotics for the wrong purpose? How?
Yes.
So much for that question. You realize which these antibiotics be able to enhance growth in some, those that can be able to be used for food animals, like those animals that can be able to slaughter maybe for food. We have used this antibiotic to be able to enhance growth, and that is one case. But for the case of humans, you realize sometimes if someone can be able to feel some pain somewhere, or if there's some infections, they will be able to go direct to the pharmacy to be able to get this medication without a prescription. You realize what they are trying to avoid maybe in one way or another is to be able to this cost to the maybe consultation fee from the doctor, and you end up maybe buying an underdose just for you to be able to be okay within that short time. And you realize now, if you are going to be able to take this medication for a short while until the time you are just okay, then you cancel the rest. That's where you are leading to this, or speeding up the process of resistance. That means this bacteria will not be able to be killed. And then you realize if these bacteria, they are going to be able to be exposed, because you realize we have got the concentration. In this issue, we normally have the minimum inhibitory concentration. We have also the maximum amount of concentration that is needed to be able to have full clearance of from the body system. If you are going to be able to take your medication within the short time, let me say, because you have 20 bob, or you go and buy maybe amoxicillin without medication, because you don't want the cost to be able to go to have consultation from the doctor, you will realize you will have an underdose. And the moment when you are okay, and you realize in many households, not only in Africa, you realize when you go somewhere, you will never miss unfinished prescription or medication somewhere. They have just been stored. Anyone feeling sick can be able to use them, and then when they are okay, that is the case. And that's where it comes in now, this overuse and these are just misuse. And that's where we have resistance to this bacteria. I think I have given some insight on that. If not, I can be able to give much on it.
Yes, of course, Dr. Shikuku. And also, from your explanation, it means that underdose and overdose is still misuse of antibiotics.
Yes, if you are taking maybe a medication and complete the dose, you are misusing this product. Or, for example, if someone has like now this outbreak of chickenpox, if someone goes in and takes the medication, let me say for antibacterial, they will buy let me say amoxicillin combination. If they buy this amoxicillin and you realize chickenpox is caused by a virus, so it is a viral infection. When you buy a wrong medication for the wrong sign or symptom or for the wrong infection, that is one of the misuse. And this misuse now leads to this resistance. So if you have something underdose or overdose, that's a misuse, because at the end of it all, you are speeding the process of resistance. These bacteria, they will be able to be exposed, yes, to the lower concentration. If they are exposed to the lower concentration, what happens? You can be able to develop resistance. If you're using a higher concentration for the same, you'll be able to kill, because in the system we have normal flora. You may end up killing now the good bacteria that is necessary for the body, and then leaving aside maybe the bad bacteria, and that's also one of the effects. So misuse, it can be able to be overdose or underdose for the same. And also for this agriculture, you realize they are using more of this antibacterial to enhance growth, to be able to speed up the timeline this animal is going to take to reach maturity, to enhance its weight or maybe the body size, so can be able to meet the market demand. And you realize now there are some bacteria which are good in some animals, like in a pig, salmonella can be able to be okay. But you realize if now these antibacterial have been taken to be able to enhance the maybe the growth of this pig as an animal, at the end of it all, we normally maybe have those who consume this animal. It will be able to be transferred from this pig to a person. And if this bacteria or this bacteria is already resistant, what happens? Resistance is transferred to
Yes.
this other side. Yes.
And
Yes.
maybe, Dr. if I can just pick a question from our comment section this morning, of course, from Calvin Msiomolo, who is really asking, are there specific antibiotics that we should avoid unless prescribed by a medical practitioner? That is the question, of course.
Yeah, I thank you for this question. You realize now, if that is we all antibiotics, but we have got those what you call the OTC, over the counter. And that's where
Yes.
when we'll be finishing, we'll be looking at the stewardship in this category. What are the ideas, the leadership, accountability? As a pharmacist, are you giving this prescription as required or only because of the amount of money? Let me say if the prescription for a full dose, let me say for antimalarial lumefantrine, this is for antimalarial, that is AL. If the required concentration for the full dose is supposed to go maybe for, and maybe you have only 50 or 100, so which means to be able to be given for 5 days, then you will say maybe at the end of the day, I'll be able to come for others as a financial constraint. But at the end of these 5 days, you will feel like you're okay. So you don't go and pick the other one. And that's where resistance is. So there are those products that can be able to be prescribed over the counter, but we have got those ones that requires prescription. So for those OTC, we need also some vigilance with the pharmacists to ensure they give maybe full dose or they advise the patient on the same, because they are not aware. We are the profession who can be able to advise on the same. So most of the time, we are also demanding for the consultation or for the prescription for the patient. With this one, we'll be able to tame this antimicrobial resistance at the end, because it is a crisis, and a crisis is something that needs an urgent intervention, a very serious intervention, to be able to ensure we don't come into a situation whereby there's a disease outbreak and there is no antibacterial for the same.
Yes, and of course,
Yeah.
now, Doctor, we have another question here. Daktari, is it advisable or a must to take antibiotics when you have a cough?
Yeah, that is a good question, but you realize now this is most of the time where we are having this. This, like, that is, I think, is a flu. is it a flu or some respiratory infection? Because if you are having some upper or lower system or respiratory infection, it is a bacterial infection. But at times we need to be able, what we are championing is don't make a decision on your own. Seek for consultation
Yes.
so that at the end of it all, a full dose, a maximum concentration of the required dose is submitted. Because yes, you will buy because of we understand the crisis, the financial crisis our people are in. But at the end of it all, yes, you will feel okay. But will you have finished the dose? That's why there's a dose. In every dose, it is RX, meaning prescription. So prescription, they must be able to be prescribed, given instruction how to take, how much, the quantity. So you can be able to take just to be able to be okay, but I don't advise that. We advise consultation. No matter how the fees is, but you can be able to advise on this. Unless you have for those OTs over the counter that don't need prescription, it's well and good for the same.
And Dr. we have a question, another question, of course, that is asking, how about people who are allergic to some food? Are they allowed to use antibiotics?
Now, for the case of allergy, allergy, this means that you are responding to a foreign stimuli. If now the thing is that we want to sort out this issue of allergy. If you are allergic to something, a doctor can be able to examine which or what are the stimuli. You see that when you get exposed to dust, you get some allergy or you develop some reaction, maybe some swellings or something like that, or coughing along that. The first thing, you don't just rush to be able to take these antibiotics, but what is the underlying condition? Maybe they have for those people who are allergic maybe to meat. You don't go and take antibiotic to be able to sort out an issue of allergic to meat. Meat is the stimuli, is the foreign factor that is able to be able to react. Because at the end of it all, the body tries to be able to reject or to be able to respond to the stimuli to the foreign material. This means you only have to do away with this stimuli that is causing all of this. So, and on that note, you don't just rush to be able to take the antibiotics unless advised. But you only have to deal with what is causing this. What is causing this allergic reaction? I think that is where the question is should be able to start from, and that is where we can be able to get an answer. You don't get a medication because we have got, like now those who come from other parts, we have got those who are allergic to pollen grains. You understand what I mean? Those who are allergic to dust. Those who are allergic to meat, when they eat eggs, they develop some other thing. What you need to do, you don't have to eat these eggs and then run to be able to get antibiotics. No. Just sort out this issue of this nerve supply. Thank you.
And I have another question here, Dr. Shikuku. Good morning, Morning Informant. I usually take the capsule of amoxil. I split it open and give it to my daughter who is 3 years old. I just want to ask Dr. Is there any danger to the medication that I give her using that method?
Yes, yes. There's a lot of danger because you realize this drug formulation nowadays we normally have a 3D like modification. We have got the technology in this process. So when you look at amoxicillin, like for example now Chemoxil for the same, it is made in capsule way. Why? This outer coating, this capsule, it is a capsule. It is done to be able to enhance the delivery so that we don't have a drug interaction because we want this drug to be able to act to the side of action. We want to be able to reach the target. Reach the target. Like if you are transporting maybe something like a set fully purchased, If you want it to be able not to be destroyed, you have a covering over the same. So this covering to ensure the inner side doesn't get destroyed. So if you are going to, then yes, you want to be able to use this one for the young, but it's not advisable, because this drug will be able to start acting from maybe the upper side, upper track, and is supposed to be able to act to the target. So it has to be able to be delivered to where it's supposed to be. Then the outer cortex will be able to dissolve, because it's made in such a way that it can be able to dissolve. After dissolving, it can be able to allow this drug to be able to act to the side. So when doing that, you'll be able to reducing the effectiveness or the efficacy of this product. And that one, yeah, on my understanding on this side, it's not advisable for this, because the drug has to be able to reach the target, then you don't be able to disperse it on the way. Yes, and that's why we can be able to, I can be able to say on that.
And Dr. earlier on, I just heard you speaking of something like resistance, or some of the effects of antibiotic resistance, maybe, and maybe you can help our viewers well understand what resistance is.
Oh, thank you so much. Now, that's a very good question and a nice topic for the same. Now, resistance. Resistance, ideally in simple language, means a failure of a microorganism to respond to any antibacterial or any antimicrobial drug administered, when ideally is supposed to be able to kill. For example, if my main function is to kill maybe something so and so, and if he or she is supposed to be able to die for the same, just for the sake of an example, or different one. Resistance in simple, it means that it's a failure of this to be able to be affected or to be killed or to be destroyed, because you have got different ways to be destroyed by these antibacterials that we can be able to give, or antimicrobial for the general, because antimicrobial is for bacteria and viral is for viral and other things. So if I go to your question, we were to be able to understand at least what is this resistance, and is this failure of this antimicroorganism to be able to respond to the drug that we are giving them, and maybe because of some few issues, maybe because of the mutation. Mutation is basically the change in the genetic makeup of this organism. We know that the codons or the DNA codons, they are made up of thiamine and so and so. So if there's change in this coding for the same, because in the DNA or in genetics we call coding, because it's like in programming, specific code arranged as a pattern means something very specific. So the first thing that leads to this resistance is mutation, and ideally mutation can be able to occur naturally, because as we move, as we engage in daily activities, also this organism, they change with the stimuli, they change with the environment to ensure they can be able to fit in the dynamic environment. So ideally that it can be able to cause now this resistance. And you realize this mutation on this side, mutation can be able to be passed from one organism to the other. So after this change in this genetic makeup for the same, they can be able to be transferred from one organism to the other, the offspring of the same. Lateral transfer of the genetic material from the mother to these other young ones, that can be able also to spread out this resistance. And this mutation and this transfer of this genetic material also speed up the process of resistance. And then maybe if I go too well, you ask about what are the effects of this resistance. This resistance has a lot of impact. Like now in 1920, we had a very wonderful invention, the invention by Alexander Fleming. That is the father who invented the penicillin.
Yes.
Penicillin, after it was approved in this field of medicine, because penicillin has been the main, that was the first antibiotic that was invented. So we realize now in 1940, 1945, Alexander Fleming won the Nobel Prize for the same because of the invention. And you realize this was invented by mistake, because he was leaving the lab and then he saw something that has grown on the desk. After investigation, they understood it's penicillin and something like that. And that's why penicillin has been in use up to now as we talk. And in 1945, when they found that this Alexander Fleming was given this Nobel Prize, he said one thing: they will be able to be resistant for the same if we don't control the use and the administration of these antibiotics. And 1 year later, that is 1946, 1956, we started to experience a lot of resistance for the same. Something that was for the same that will be able to kill a wide range of bacteria. And from 1956, all of a sudden, along in 1970, there was invention for the antibacterial, but that was invented for the same. They were not like wide spectrum like penicillin. And as now, we are having a crisis for the antibacterial, because since 1980 up to now, there has been no any antibacterial that has been developed for any infection. So we are having a wide gap for the same, where there is no any new drug that has been developed, and now a challenge. And the CDC, that is Center for Disease Control, they are also working out on this, because we have dynamics, the way these bacteria are changing to the dynamic environment. If we don't keep on thinking of way changing, if we don't also a new these changes, we'll be able to wake up one day in a very difficult environment where there are no antibiotics and the disease, a very serious infection. And that's where now, when you look at the dangers of now resistance, is one: organ transplant. In theaters, when you move to theaters, those are very stable place, and each and every time we need antibacterials. Organ transplant, all of those, maybe cardiac surgery, everything that goes in theater, maybe C-section for the same for our mothers or our ladies, they require antibacterial. And if this antibacterial fail, you'll be able to have a lot of infection, because a single mistake can be able to damage someone's life. That's why this issue of maybe transplant, this issue of surgery will be able to be in jeopardy if we don't come across, or if we don't mitigate for the same. You can imagine one day waking up whereby all the bacteria are resistant. They are resistant, and you have to operate or maybe to carry out an organ plant, something like that. It will not happen, and that will lead to loss of life. And this resistance, it increases the life of someone spending the life or maybe the timeline in the hospital, because if it's resistant, that means you will take a lot of high concentration to be able to clear the same. So you will spend a lot of time in hospital to be able to be the same, and then the more time you spend, that means the more cost effective. So that's an economic in terms of cost, and then social, longer time you're going to spend in hospital as one of the effects. I think that's some of the
And
effects of
of
this
course,
resistance and what.
yes, sorry for that, Daktari. And maybe if, I can just please kindly allow me to pose a different question under the same from just a comment section this morning. Of course, there is somebody who is actually saying, "Good morning, Morning Informant. Are there any bacterial health problems that are unlikely to clear up without antibiotics?"
Now, in the system, we have good bacterial and then bad bacteria. That's why we call about the normal flora for the same. You know, we have got those one. The first, when you get an infection, the system will be able to try on its own to be able to eliminate the infection. Now, what it does is that, as you understand biology, platelets and the way the lymph nodes, those the specific cells that normally destroy the foreign or the pathogens. So ideally, we have got those that can be able to be cleared for the same. Maybe if the infection is not too much, the body can be able to clear on its own. Because ideally, the body normally fights. The body will fight for this foreign because it will increase the high temperature for its system. When you increase the high temperature, it wants to make it sure that there is an unfavorable environment for this bacteria to be able to grow, so it can be able to kill. It will recruit all of these platelets to be able to come, maybe, and then ensure it can be able to destroy the macrophages to be able to come and then engulf this microorganism and destroy. So we have got those bacteria for the same that can be able to be destroyed. Yes, those are not serious infections. They can be able to be cleared by the body system, the immune system. That's why we have got an innate immune system. Then we have adaptive immune system. Adaptive immune system is whereby you get exposed to the foreign pathogen to be able to understand. Because a pathogen, once it is induced in the body responds by ensuring it produces the antibody. Because this is an antigen. And an antibody and antigen, they normally form key and lock. Once they destroy this antigen, the antibodies remain in the system. They'll be able to be doing surveillance. So at any time, these foreign material come into the system again with the same similarity, because it will be able to have a clear picture for the same. You will be able to realize it will be able to destroy. And that's one way under which maybe you can develop this. So we have got those who will be destroyed by the system. Then we have got the innate immune system. Innate immune system is whereby you are born with it. You get exposed. When you get exposed to this, you don't get most of the time sick. And sometimes we have for those who are saying it was just a normal conversation, my friend was saying. I see that those kids maybe in the Ushagos, those in the far region, they don't get this disease, most disease here or there. Or maybe when they get exposed to this, a lot of these foreign antigen, and the body responds with the more antibodies. So when they get exposed to it again, they don't get most. Of course, those can be cleared, yes. And then we have for those that requires interventions, though that the body has failed to be able to clear. And that's why when we talk about the immune system, we have to be able to maintain our immune system, to support it in different ways, to ensure it can be able to sustain us. Because this is an engine, and we must also give it what it needs to support us.
Yes, and now, Dr. Shikuku, you mentioned that if this continues, we're going to be in a crisis where we are out of antibiotics and antibacterial drugs. And you being a lead scientist, are there any plans to manufacture or to advance a drug for the help of patients who will need antibiotics?
Thank you so much, Christine, for the same question. Now, you realize the Center for Disease Control, scientists are always on the lookout. Scientists research. And the main challenge that is facing this, like now, the small research institution that we have maybe in Africa or other parts, is that in this bacterial thing, you realize current can be able to get yes and but it's going to act. Yes, it will be effective within a short period of time. So this funding we have for those who normally have manufacturing companies that are normally invest their money. If I'm going to be able to invest the money to ensure I can be able to manufacture new animal, those who carry on these funding reduces, because at it all years, unlike insulin, penicillin was wide spectrum. It could be able to kill a wide range of the bacteria, and then it did that for a longer period. But currently having interventions that were able to be undertaken, yes, for 1 year it will be able to be effective. They will sell, yes, but within a short period they will be resistant. So, and to be able
Yes.
to get a drug from the start to the drug formulation, clinical trials, it's very costly. And one of the challenges maybe the African companies are facing funding. the research institution needs a good funding for the same to come out with a clear indication that yes, you can be able to support this, because you need to carry out research, you need to carry out clinical trials, you need to do everything to ensure at the end of it all you have conclusive information that can be able to be used for the drug formulation. But now on the certification, there are some challenges. That's why since 1980, countries are trying for the same. But for the case of this bacteria and bacterial, there's still a challenge. There's still a lot to be able to be done, and the Center for Disease Control is on it over the same. World Health Organization also over the same. But at the end of it all, we are on the run as scientists. Try to make sure that no one is asleep, because it's like a malady that will be able to engulf all of us, and we cannot allow that. No matter what happens, we'll be able to keep on the check on this maybe resistance and something like that. We can also the check of resistance, even if we don't manufacture the new ones, even if it's still a challenge, but we can understand the resistance pattern. But drug formulations are an issue, and for this antibiotic, as a young scientist, yes, funding is an issue, but if that is a lot of companies will be able to invest in. But so far, since 1980, there's no antibacterials that has been in place to be able to have to curb these emerging trends, the resistance of these bacteria.
Wow.
Wow.
And that is quite interesting.
Of course,
And maybe, Dr. I just ask you one other question. In the recent past, and that is probably a few days or weeks ago, we have seen cases of patients who were taking antibiotics for a long time, and now they have life-threatening diseases. Can you just help us understand some of these life-threatening diseases that come with overuse of antibiotics or misuse?
Okay, Christine, thank you so much for that question. Now, when if you want to be able to understand now the conditions, sometimes we have to be grateful to our God that we are safe and we are normal, because when you walk into the ICUs or theaters, you will understand what it means by those life-threatening complications. Because these nosocomial infections, are, for example, those infections that you can be able to get in ICUs if the environment well, like sterile, or there's not the antibacterial are not well used. Now, for the same now, these are life-threatening conditions that you can be able to get. I think I'll be able to give you a feedback over the same within the next few minutes as we discuss. Yes, I'll be able to respond on those some life-threatening for the same just within the short while. But
It's okay.
these overuse for these maybe this antibacterial, it will be able to help. Now you realize if you are using now this overdose for the antibacterial, you may not be able to be the target, or you may not be, because when these antibacterial develop resistance, they don't only remain in you. No, this resistance can be able to go ahead, maybe attack someone else, and you can be able to get a very serious complication. I'll be able to give you of the for the same question as we proceed with.
And of course, we are getting to learn as well with us here still Dr. Ishikuku. And of course, maybe if I can just get to sample some of the comments as well. We have good morning, Christine Gonjo. You're looking bright this morning. I'm learning more from the doctor's desk. That is, of course, a thumbs up from Jackie B, who's watching us live from Kayole Nyamaville. And she's saying that she's getting to learn from Dr. Ishikuku this morning. That is all about antibiotics and, of course, the general understanding on that. And, of course, maybe Christine, on your side.
On my side, I have a David Shem who's asking, at what point is antibiotics appropriate to be used by a patient? And that is a direct question to Dr. Gavin Shikuku, and maybe to help us understand on that as well.
We have antibiotics generally. You mentioned life-threatening maybe conditions for the same. But at what point is a
And we seem to have a little bit of the network, but we will be back with Daktari just as we sample some of the comments that are still coming in on our Facebook handle, and maybe I just go through some of them. And we have Beatrice Mohindi, a very interesting topic. Thank you, Morning Informant. Wow, thank you so much as well. We have Daniel Wambugu following. Thank you so much. And we have Nema Kantitus. I am just loving the show from Kitengela town. And we have the fire. You told me it's lit. Yes. And again, still on Nema Kantitus. The show is lit today. Thank you for the insights, Dr. Shikuku Gavin. And those are just some of the comments that are coming in on our social media platform. Please keep them coming as well.
And of course, on my line, I have
Yes.
Yes,
Please.
of course, I have Jose Wazima, who is, of course, saying that he's enjoying whatever Dr. Shikuku is teaching this morning. It's, of course, a learning morning for him.
And now Daktari is back, and we were just asking, there is a question that came in. At what point is antibiotic appropriate to be used by a patient? Maybe we get that to you, Dr. Shikuku.
Thank you so much for the question. Now, it is as simple as when you have infection or body homeostatic system is not okay, you will still use the antibiotic, because at the end of it all, we must be able to clear the infection. But we have got those with a good immune system. They don't get those complicated. Like I will use this a normal infection for the respiratory system. We have got those who are going to use a combination of amoxicillin and nucleic acid. That's a potassium salt for clavulanic acid. That's called clavulant. That nation that is mainly comprised of this drug we call augmentin. That is the strong antibiotics we are having that can be able to be used, but under very serious maybe situations. But we have that their system can be able to clear. The system clears on its own. Like you don't need maybe we have got those when they get some infections, it will not take a much longer time to be able to clear the infection. But sometimes if you feel that your immune system has been weakened, or the immune system in terms of the energy input and everything is not like what is and get a prescription for the same. Try to finish the dose. Don't take the medication seeing on your drawers, because you have those small packets, and one time they are getting those. They will ask you like, now maybe in your homes and this normal. Someone will ask maybe a neighbor, do you have this? Do you have Chemoxil? Do you have amoxicillin? Yes, I have. Someone will take just for the same that day, and then they will say, I'm okay. And that's where you are getting a lot of this resistance. And that's why we are trying to ensure that for the dose that you have been prescribed, kindly finish the. You will be able to assist us to ensure there is no this resistance. And also, to be able to medicate on this resistance is those people to get vaccinated. If you get a vaccine for the same, you can be able at the end of it all to eliminate this. Now, for an other word or the which situation can you be able to use now this antibacterial is when your immune system you feel like you are not okay. You need just to have a correct dose and finish this dose. Don't get, no matter the financial constraint. I know someone will say, no, this normal, I will take, and as long as I'm okay, I'm okay. But what is the challenge that you are posing? What is the challenge or the information you are trying to send to Alexander Graham, the person who was our father in terms of penicillin invention? What is the message you are trying to send to these research scientists who are every now and then they are trying to be able to check on the markers, the availability of these markers in the environment? They check at the transmission dynamics. What is the change in terms of the codon for this DNA? How is it responding to these primers when you use this? We are saying that you need to be able to be okay, and under what condition take medication for the same. As long as your immune system cannot be able to clear the infection, we have to be able to move forward and get a medication, because the main function of pharmaceutical is to be able to help in clearance, to homeostatic, to have good life for our people. You cannot be able to suffer, maybe say, I'm the threshold under which I can be able to use antibiotics. No. I think that is my take on this, Christine.
And maybe, Dr. I have also another question here from our comment section this morning, and there is someone who is really asking about some of the diseases that actually can lead to death while tried to be treated with an overdose in antibiotics. And I just think that is a question Christine had posed earlier on you, and you promised you'll answer as we continue. Maybe we can allow you maybe to give us the answer now, and before we pose another question to Dr. If you're getting us, maybe you can help us get the feedback from you.
Hello?
Yes, Dr. We're getting you.
And the question that I was asking was, there is, of course, a person who is asking some of the conditions that can lead to death while treated with an overdose of antibiotics. And that is a question I think Christine had tried to ask you earlier on. And maybe if you're ready with the answer, you can help us understand that one, because you requested for some a little bit time, maybe, Dr.
3 minutes, it will be able to be okay, Nathan, on that. Within some 2 or 3 minutes, for the case of those life-threatening, where you can be able to use this antibacterial overdose, and their effects, I'll be able to give it in the few minutes.
Yes, and maybe if Christine, you have, of course, a different question on the other side of the platform this morning.
Yes, and of course, we also need to look at the stewardship. And you had mentioned about stewardship, Dr. Shikuku, and you said that we will talk about it later on in the show. I think it's about that time that we talk about stewardship of antibiotics.
Oh, thank you so much for the same. Now, for this, you realize now, for us to be able to ensure there's a correct medication, you realize we must be able to have the effort or the energy that we are going to be able to put to ensure prescriptions. We have those who can be able to be accountable. If you are accountable with something, you know what the challenges it poses. And that's the clinician or the pharmacist. We have those who are supposed to be able, or who to keep on checking. That's why in every pharmaceuticals, they must be able to have a record. They must be able to show the invoice where they are getting this product and where they are using. They must be able also to show how they are going to be able to keep the information, how they destroy those products that have been expired. Now, for the same of this stewardship, is that to ensure there's no resistance, to ensure there's accountability, like you own the mistake. What are they supposed to be able to be done? We need to be able to be accountable. We need to be able to be leaders for the same. If you lead like now, we have those now like the pharmacy-driven interventions, whereby at the pharmacy level, as a pharmacist, you need to take what is it supposed to be able to be done. Those carrying out like now in Kenya, the pharmacy ensure the person who is prescribing this product is a professional. If you're a professional, that means you have this a certificate for you to carry out the process. You have the knowledge, you have been empowered, and that's some of the stewardship that we are to be able to ensure. Now, the broad interventions that we must be able to have to ensure this stewardship for the same, for on this field of now, or to ensure resistance or for antibacterial infection, we must be able to understand from the source. Maybe if someone is exporting from somewhere, from the source, the clearance and everything like registration for the product and everything to the ground to the use. We must be able to trace the origin of this product. So when you look at a packet for any product, maybe antibacterial or something different, it has full information. Exporting company, importing company, the license, and also the expiry for this. Those are broad spectrum to be able to ensure this is resistant, there's no misuse. And also, for example, now there's this antibiotic called ceftriaxone. You cannot be able to. There has been a lot of resistance on this issue of ceftriaxone because of the reduced or the abnormal of safety. Anyone can buy this at the pharmacy level and they can be able to use. And maybe the minimum required for the same, maybe 3 or 4 files for the same with the start. But someone just use it maybe for once. Then as long as it has cleared what he or she sees as full clearance, can be able to opt it out. So this stewardship is to ensure the energy we are going to put into ensure there is compliance for the same, to ensure there is no this resistance. We must keep check, balance and check where we are going wrong for the same. Who is supposed to be able to do? Who is accountable at this situation? We don't have to have maybe blame comes from here to here. And that's the main thing, or the stewardship measures that's supposed to be able to be taken into place. So also this patient, yes, they have purchased this product. Are they using it for the right purpose? I think those are some of the things that must be able to be taken into consideration, because at the end of it all, if the patient is taking medication and not using it for the purpose it intends, that's where we also go wrong. We must encourage our patient to ensure to take a full dose, not to take maybe an underdose or from somewhere. With this one, we can be able to tame this issue of resistance. Nathan, back to you.
And thank you very much, Dr. Rin, because time is really running. I'd like you maybe in the next 1 minute or so just emphasize on the responsible taking of antibiotics, or just taking how you can just take antibiotics responsibly in the next maybe 1 minute. Tafadhali, Dr. if you can get us.
Oh, and maybe we will get back to Dr. We seem to have a little bit of a connection problem, but we will be back with Dr. And remember to stay tuned, because at 7:30, Dr. Gavin Shikuku is still going to be here to educate us more on misuse of antibiotics and the stewardship, and also responsibly taking of antibiotics on our Health Hub show. Yes.
And of course, it's tonight at exactly 7:30 p.m. We shall have Dr. Gavin Shikuku once more with us here on the studios, of course, talking more about the same topic. Of course, if you have any question, you can as well tune in on the same, because we'll have to expound more on that. Exactly, that is on the Health Hub show tonight at 7:30 p.m. Actually right here on SHANI TV. And
see you after a very short break. We will be back to wind up our show. And that was quite informative. I enjoyed. I hope you enjoyed too, Ngonjo.
of course, I really enjoyed, and apart from enjoying, I also learned as well, and can't wait to learn more tonight.
Yes, I know you're waiting. Please keep a date with us at 7:30 ensure that you're here.
Of course.
So that, because we're going to learn so much more. And maybe I get to our comment section, Ngonjo, and I can see so many questions coming in, and of course we will keep them intact for Daktari Gawin Shikuku. And I can see Neema Kantitus, keep up the good work. And today we have so many fires in our comment section. I thank God for those. And we have Honorable A. Chege. Wow, what a show. Thank you for the great advice on meds.
Of course.
Wow, thank you also for tuning in and for watching Morning Informant.
And on my line, I have good morning, Christine and Ngonjo. I've learned today, of course, all about antibiotics. I have some of them in the house. I think if I tune in tonight, I'll be forced maybe to throw some of them away because I had just bought them over the counter. Of course, Dr. Shikuku will help us understand more. I can't tell you to just throw them away, but he will, of course, advise you on how to handle them. And I have a different person as well on the line. We're saying good morning, Morning Informant. I'm watching you guys from on my way from Nairobi to Kitengela. Thank you very much for tuning in as well.
And now Daktari is back. Maybe we give him the opportunity to give us a parting shot before our date at 7:30.
It's like
Okay, yes.
we have indeed lost Daktari again, and we are really sorry for that. We apologize. But when the Daktari comes again, maybe we'll give him another chance, of course, to give his parting shot. Just reminding you of we will be having Daktari with us once more tonight, and of course the same topic, and that is the misuse, all about general overview and understanding of antibiotics, especially in Kenya.
Yes, and Daktari is back. Welcome back, and maybe you give us your parting shot before we get to learn more about antibiotics right here at 7:30 p.m. Okay, we apologize for that, but we are sorting it out, of course, but we will be back. And now it is about that time I get to pick Ngonjo's brain right here. I like doing it. I enjoy doing it. And today I have a riddle for Ngonjo. And just a quick one. There's only one word in the dictionary that is spelled wrong. What is it?
Dictionary.
Yes, in the dictionary.
The word dictionary.
Yes.
See, that is the word.
No, that's not the word. That is not the word.
That is spelled wrongly.
I didn't say wrongly. I said there is only one word in the dictionary that is spelled wrong.
That is spelled wrong.
Yes. Okay.
Maybe we also need.
Maybe we look at the traffic update just to know, because right now it is 8:54 a.m. and I know you're trying to get to work, and we just want to tell you how the roads are looking like, any incidents or accidents, and also tell us where you are watching us from and how far you've reached with the updates we had given you earlier. And as Ngonjo still thinks of my riddle, and I have to have an answer before we leave here.
Of course, I will answer you.
Yes, and Ngonjo, on your side.
Yes, maybe to the Waiyaki way road users, there is a little bit traffic as you approach the Riverside Drive, but at the Chiromo roundabout, things are turning out to be abnormal. There is, of course, a continuous red line on the same. That is from somewhere in the beginning from the Riverside Drive all the way to the Chiromo roundabout or Jinja Road, of course, on your way to town. But from town, the traffic is flowing as normal. And of course, there is also the people who are using the Valley Road this morning all the way from Bagadi. There's no traffic at all. The only traffic that is visible is on Kenyatta Avenue. As of course, you approach the central business district. There is, as you enter the town from the sides of Kaunda and Loiter streets, that is in town.
And on Mombasa Road, I can see Airport North Road has started piling up, and we have traffic snarl up on that side, connecting to Cabanas, and also and the bypass connecting to Mombasa Road, going to town and going into the side of City Cabanas, and I can see there is traffic on that side as well. And moving on, still at Imara Daima, there's still traffic, and now it is on both sides. So that means that more people are waking up and going to work, and there is traffic on that side. And there seems to be also in Mombasa Road, at Mudama Road, it has cleared up. It was red earlier, but now it has cleared up. That means it is green ready to go. There is no traffic on that side. But at Syokimau, we have traffic there, and that is the road connecting from Old Mombasa Road to Syokimau and to the main road of Mombasa Road. There seems to be traffic on that side. On both sides, coming from town and going to town, there seems to be traffic on both sides. Going to town, we have two lanes. That means both lanes are not moving, but coming from town, only one lane is the one that is experiencing a traffic snarl up. Now moving on, I see still on Mombasa Road, there seems to be traffic as well as you move a little bit ahead, and Kiungani Road, it is clear. That means there is no traffic on that side as well.
And maybe to the ones who are using Thika Road this morning, that is the Thika Super Highway. Of course, the traffic was at the beginning, but right now I can only trace a little bit traffic from the Wamboi Road junction. That is a road that joins Kiambu Road and the Thika Road on that angle, and it's a little bit traffic both on the service lane and the highway as well. And of course, the traffic of course continues up to Pangani area, up to the Fairview Road. That is of course on the Meru Nairobi Highway. There is a little bit traffic, but moving as well. As you approach Murang'a Road as well, there is no traffic. It's not that hectic. It's an orange line, an indicator of a flowing traffic on Murang'a Road. But maybe if we can have a simple look on the Juja Road this morning, there is a little bit traffic at the junction between the Ring Road in Ngara and the Juja side of it as you get out of the town. But as you enter the town, it's very much passable this morning.
And looking at Jogoo Road, I see that there is no traffic. It is actually moving. But once you get to the other side, and that is in Kamukunji, and that is Landis Road. Landis Road is a continuous red line. It is slowly moving, but it is also continuous, and in the connection to Railway Lane as well. And the roundabout of Kamukunji, there seems to be a red line. This shows that there is traffic once you're getting into town. But Jogoo Road is clear all the way up to Makadara. In Makadara, we have a little bit of snarl up. Though it is an orange line, that means it is slowly moving. But on the other end, going up into town until you get to Landis Road, it is quite clear. And now Ngonjo Daktari is back. Daktari, hello, Dr. Shikuku.
Hello, thank you so much. I think there was some last question that I was to give an answer. But what I want to be able to say is that if we use antibiotics when you may not have them when they are needed. If you are using this antibiotic anyhowly, if you are using this antibiotic to be able to treat any infection like cold flu, you are buying an antibiotic. When it's available, we may not be able to have an option when we need these antibiotics. So let's be keen on this, because these are the common or the things that are really on the ground, and we normally experience them. Cautious will be able to continue to share about the same in the evening for the same. But thank you so much, Nathan and Christine, for the show. I really like your composure and your welcoming. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I don't have much to say. We'll be able to share much for our viewers. I say thank you so much. We will really keep sharing our knowledge. Sharing is caring. No one is an island. Thank you so much.
Wow. Thank you so much, Daktari. And from our end, we are really pleased that you could get time to be here at our morning show. And again, you're very informed as well.
Sure.
You're informed, and you're a good teacher as well. We have gotten to learn more about antibiotics and how they work. Thank you so much, Daktari.
Yes, and see you on that is on the Health Hub show at 7:30 p.m. Of course, enjoy the rest of your day, Daktari. Thank you very much.
And now, Ngonjo, I think I had asked you a question because we have looked at the traffic update, and it is about that time we wind up the show. But I wouldn't leave the studio without my answer. And I did ask Ngonjo, there is only one word that is spelled wrong in the dictionary.
Sure.
So what is that word?
Maybe, is there any more time? I think I can just answer it behind the curtains.
That word is wrong. The word is wrong.
Oh.
Yes.
I'm just overthinking, you know.
Okay,
I'm
yes,
sorry.
I see. And now, thank you so much for watching us, for sending in your comments, and for sharing our video here. We're still looking for the person who has the most shares. And thank you to our director, our producer, our camera personnel. Thank you so much for making this show a success. And again, thank you to our sponsors, Aqua World, for sponsoring us and enabling us to be here. Now you can visit the website of Aqua World, the best supplier and manufacturer of mineral water, at aquaworldke.com, where you will get to sample the sizes of the water that they have.
Of course.
And they start from 500 ml. And we have a 1 liter, we have 5 liters, we have 10 liters, and 20 liters water bottle. Visit the website, you will pin your location, and the water will be delivered to your doorstep. And if you would like to call them, Ngonjo, because we have the number here right here, maybe if you would just like to call that Aqua World to get your water, the number is
0716 007 075. Of course, that is the Aqua World number. Maybe I can just repeat the number. The number is 0716 007 075. In case you need to make a call and order your water, remember, this water is just a phone call. I will just make your call and the water is delivered instantly.
Now, have a very lovely day from our end. We wish you a very, very lovely day and a blessed and a fruitful one. My name is Christine Mutili.
And my name is Gonjo Maina. See you at 7:30 p.m.
Live in a beach life city, enjoying coastal lifestyle with a cool breeze and ocean tides as you watch the sunset. In Malindi, touching the Kilifi Watamu bypass, sitting just 100 meters off